In 1867, Kansas State University held its first commencement. 3 women and 2 men graduated that year. As the first land-grant university in the nation, this fledgling university had a vision of providing innovative education to all people. That early vision has continued through to the present. With over 250 majors and a diverse student body, including students from all 50 states and more than 100 countries. Becoming one of the nation's top 50 public research universities by 2025 is today's vision for tomorrow. With academic programs among the best in the nation and professors who are leaders in their fields, Kansas State University is an international leader in teaching, learning, service, and research. Today's graduates join over 200,000 alumni who are proud to call K-State their alma mater. Congratulations, and thank you to all those who have supported them through their undergraduate experience at Kansas State University.
Welcome to the Spring 2018 Commencement Exercises of the College of Business Administration. I'm Kevin Gwinner, Dean of the College. I am pleased to introduce Mr. Kane Comfort, Senior in Finance, to sing our national anthem. Please remain standing.
Jose, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Woes ate us that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Kane. That was amazing. Please be seated. Before we proceed with our program, I would like to introduce the members of the Platform Party. Please hold your applause until I introduce the entire Platform Party. Beginning from my far left, we have Dr. Brett Wilkinson, Head, Department of Accounting, Dr. Eric Higgins, Associate Dean for Finance and Human Resources, Ms. Benta Janda, Assistant Dean for Student Success, Dr. Stacy Kovar, Associate Dean for Academic Administration, Ms. Candy Duncan, our commencement speaker, General Richard Myers, President, Kansas State University, Dr. April Mason, Provost and Senior Vice President, Dr. Xuan Xu, Associate Dean for Academic Programs, Dr. Don Martin, Assistant Dean for Diversity, Ms. Celeste Bartels, the College of Business Administration Outstanding Senior, Mr. David Lehman, Instructor, Department of Marketing, Mr. Zachary Case, CBA Student Commencement Speaker, Dr. Chad Jackson, the Director of the Center for the Advancement of Entrepreneurship, Dr. Esther Swilley, Head, Department of Marketing, and Ms. Amy Button-Renz, President and CEO, Kansas State University Alumni Association. Please also join me in thanking our commencement marshals, Ms. Emily Brieseke, Ms. Dr. Danita Whitney Bramerlin, Ms. Lindsay Cordell, and Ms. Ashley Thomas for their generous service as commencement marshals. Graduates, today is a wonderful day of celebration for you and your families. I am privileged to have the opportunity to share this special occasion with you, and grateful for the family members who are able to attend this special event in your lives. An event that marks the culmination of years of hard work and sacrifice in the pursuit of knowledge, a meaningful career, and a promising future. No one is happier or prouder of your educational accomplishments than the loved ones gathered here today. I want to take this moment to acknowledge the encouragement and support your families have provided for your success. Would the parents, spouses, grandparents, and children of our graduates please stand and be recognized? I know that many of our families here today are celebrating a family tradition as a new generation joins the ranks of K-State alumni. Would all those present today who hold degrees from Kansas State University please stand for us to honor each family's Wildcat legacy? Thank you. Although we are here today to honor the accomplishments of the graduates, we also acknowledge the faculty and staff who have worked with our graduates in completing their studies. In honor of the faculty and professional staff who have served you with such dedication, I ask you, our graduates, to please stand and applaud their contributions to your success. Thank you. I'm pleased to recognize several faculty and staff members named as the recipients of prestigious awards this semester. Please stand when I call your name. Ms. J.J. Broughton, instructor in the Department of Marketing, is a 2018 recipient of the K-State Commerce Bank and W.T. Kemper Foundation Outstanding Teaching Award. Dr. Sabui Sardalali, Assistant Professor of Finance, is the recipient of the Ralph Reitz Outstanding Teaching Award. Dr. Hardy Johnson, Assistant Professor of Finance, is the recipient of the College of Business Developing Scholar Award. Ms. Rebecca Gould, Career Coach, is the recipient of the Kansas State Bank Outstanding Advising Award. Ms. Claudia Leeds, Administrative Assistant for the Department of Marketing, is the recipient of the College of Business Support Staff Person of the Year. And Ms. Suzanne Otten, Director of the Professional MBA Program, is the recipient of the K-State Global Campus Outstanding Advisor of the Year Award. Congratulations to these award winners. We also have several graduates who received university-wide awards acknowledging their excellence in leadership, scholarship, and community service. As I call your name, please stand to be recognized. Brian Davis, the recipient of the Anderson Senior Award for Outstanding Leadership. Mary Abu Nubhan, and was recipient of the Tony Urich Community Commitment and Leadership Award. Both Brian and Mary are also recipients of the Dean of Student Life Outstanding Senior Award. Other business students who are also recipients of the Dean of Student Life Outstanding Senior Award are Trenton Kennedy and Gabrielle Riggs. Please join me in congratulating these graduates. Thank you. One special group of graduates who have made a significant contribution are those who have served as business ambassadors in the college. Would those that have served as a business ambassador please stand to be recognized? Thank you. We are honored to have Kansas State University President Richard Myers, Provost and Senior Vice President April Mason, and President of the K-State Alumni Association, Amy Button-Renz, join us today. Thank you all for being here. Now, it is my distinct honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Ms. Candy Duncan, class of 1975. Candy was raised on a farm in Andover, Kansas. She studied accounting at K-State and rose through the ranks of public accounting to serve as managing partner of the KPMG Metropolitan Washington, D.C. office from 2009 until 2013. She was the first woman to lead the Washington Metro office. During her tenure, the Washington Metro office was among KPMG's fastest growing areas in the U.S. She also served on the board of KPMG, where she chaired both the firm's nominating committee and the Partnership and Employer of Choice Committee. In her various roles at KPMG, she was the lead partner for major international and U.S. companies, including Volkswagen, Continental Automotive, and Dollar Tree stores, gaining extensive experience in assisting clients with resolving complex accounting and operational issues. Candy compiled more than 38 years of experience as a professional with KPMG. She became a partner at KPMG in 1987, and in 1998 was named audit partner in charge for the state of Virginia, where she served for 10 years. Candy currently serves as a director at Discover Financial Services, FTD, and Teleflex Incorporated. An active member of her local community, she was a board member and executive committee member of the Economic Club of Washington, the World Affairs Council, and the Washington Board of Trade. She is a member of the National Association of Corporate Directors, the International Women's Forum, C200, and Women's Corporate Directors. She was the co-chair of the 2014 and 15 Leukemia Gala and the chair of the 2012 Heart Ball for the Washington Region American Heart Association. She was named to Washington Magazine's Top 100 Most Powerful Women list in 2010, 2011, and 2012. As a successful alumni, Candy serves on the College of Business Advisory Council and is a member of the K-State Alumni Association Advisory Board. Candy earned a Bachelor's of Science degree, magna cum laude, in accounting from Kansas State University. During her undergraduate career on campus, Candy was very involved. She was a resident assistant, a member of Chimes, a member of Mortarboard, and served in several other university student organizations. Please join me in welcoming Candy Duncan as our Spring 2018 commencement speaker.
Wow. Congratulations to each of you. What an impressive group of graduates. Thank you, Dean Gwinner, for the kind introduction, and all of you for giving me the honor of speaking today. What a privilege to be here with President Myers, Provost Mason, and the other dignitaries. Most importantly, it is a pleasure to gaze out on this sea of proud, smiling faces. This space is filled with wonderful feelings, the energy, the excitement, and more than anything, the relief. You all are done. You have now entered an elite group of only a third of Americans who've completed their college degrees. I assume that if you're like me, that during your college years, there were many bumps along the road, and maybe the path took a turn or two. It wasn't always easy. I recognize that you've not walked this path alone, and those that love you have walked with you. Fellow students, friends, and especially family members supported you every step of the way. They've celebrated your victories, commiserated with you during the tough times, and shared your dream. And today, that dream becomes your reality. So whatever path lies ahead of you, I guarantee that the memories formed here will remain vivid for the rest of your life. One of the things that I've learned on my own journey is the importance of gratitude. So in the spirit of gratitude, I asked the graduating class of 2018 to stand one more time. Please stand in recognition of the generosity, sacrifice, support, and confidence you receive from your families, friends, faculty, and administrators gathered here today to honor your achievements. Please turn to face them and let's all applaud. Please be seated. As you enter into your professional life, I encourage you to be intentional in finding mentors and sponsors that will help you in your journey. So many mentors have helped me on my path. In addition, I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to mentor several students from K-State and many others throughout my professional career. I encourage you to find those mentors and sponsors as you start your next chapter in the business world. And at the same time, to be a mentor to others. You will be amazed at how much you can teach your peers. Sometimes the person that is guiding you is also the one you can mentor. I've experienced that so many times as a partner. In fact, I would often choose to sit next to the newest staff member on the audit team and ask them to teach me two things that day. How my technology skills soared. As you face the future, take advantage of new opportunities. That may be a new city, your first professional job, or starting an advanced degree. 2 weeks after graduation, I moved to Kansas City, got my first apartment, and started my professional career. I was a brand new staff accountant. After 2 weeks of training, I was assigned to the audit of a very large airline headquartered in Kansas City, TWA, now part of American Airlines. I was told I would be doing the audit work for cash. It should take about 2 weeks. In addition, as the newest and most junior member, I was also to make the coffee for the audit team. And no, there was not a Keurig, let alone a Starbucks, to be found anywhere. Only an 8-cup Mr. Coffee and a large red can of Folgers. Now, I had never audited cash before, nor made coffee. And yes, somehow auditing cash seemed to be the easier of the two. My manager gave me great instructions on how to audit cash, and he also taught me how to make the coffee. Water on the right side, 8 scoops of coffee in the filter. Okay, all this seemed simple enough, and I was ready to go. I had just started reconciling my first bank statement when someone told me, "We need more coffee." Clearly, the priority was clear. I took the empty pot to the restroom, rinsed it out, filled it with water, starting the process. Water on the right side, 8 scoops of coffee in the filter. Well, with a 12-person audit team, 10 of which drank coffee, you can imagine how much time I spent working on cash that day. After a 10-hour day and at least 10 pots of coffee, I was exhausted. I had thought the CPA exam was hard, but nothing like trying to balance my audit work while keeping up with the coffee pot. I could only imagine my first evaluation on this job. Candy was significantly over budget on cash, and she makes terrible coffee. One of the things that I had learned at my days at K-State was to think outside the box. Clearly, that was what I needed to do. So driving home that evening, I remembered the large coffee machines I had seen used hundreds of times at receptions at Andover Methodist Church. As tired as I was, I stopped at a Kmart, purchased a 50-cup coffee machine and bought a high-end brand of coffee. I got home, washed the pot, and was ready to go. The next morning, I went in extra early, set up the new coffee machine, and the coffee was ready when everyone else arrived. The audit room smelled like a Starbucks. I was working on cash when my manager came in. He checked out the new coffee machine, poured himself a cup of coffee, and came directly to my desk. He said, "Brilliant idea, Candy. The coffee is exceptional." He then added, "We've used that 8-cup pot for over 10 years. It's great to have someone who thinks differently." As my mother used to say, when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. I didn't make lemonade, but I eventually made a mean pot of coffee. Everything you do, do well. It all matters. Cash did get done, and yes, under budget, and the 50-cup coffee machine endured well beyond my 2 years on the engagement. It made it a lot easier for the first-year associates for a long time to follow. Perhaps being at TWA's headquarters reminded me of Amelia Earhart, who was from Atchison, Kansas. One of my favorite quotes of hers is this: "Some of us have great runways built for us. If you have one, take off. But if you don't, realize it is your responsibility to grab a shovel and build one for yourself and for those who will follow after you." Each of you will be tested, all in different and unexpected ways. Remember all that you've learned during your time here at K-State, in your business classes, watching Bill Snyder coach the football team, the part-time job you had in Aggieville or as a resident assistant, but maybe most importantly, the relationships you have built. All have added to your toolbox for your next step. I'm certain when I became managing partner in Washington, D.C., others wondered where I learned to think outside the box. Making a pot of coffee on my first assignment taught me more than I realized. It taught me that I needed to approach all tasks, big and small, with the same level of energy and creativity. You never know which of the assigned tasks will be the most important to your supervisor. I think Caribou Coffee's tagline says it well: "Life is short. Stay awake for it." I hope you will. Congratulations to each of you, your families and friends. I wish you all the very best, and go Cats!
Candy, thank you for your inspirational remarks for our graduates and eloquent challenge. Would you please come back forward and accept a small token of our appreciation for your participation in today's ceremony?
Thank you.
We are grateful to have Amy Button-Rins, President and CEO of the K-State Alumni Association, in attendance. She will say a few words on behalf of the Alumni Association.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to be a part of your special day and offer congratulations on behalf of the K-State Alumni Association, representing over 275,000 graduates and friends who will be your lifelong K-State family. Today, as you receive your degree, we are excited to celebrate with you and your family. We are also here to welcome you into a new relationship with your alma mater as you begin this new chapter as a K-State graduate. Today, as you receive your degree, we are excited to celebrate with you and your family because our mission at the K-State Alumni Association is to lead and inspire lifelong involvement that will benefit Kansas State University and all members of our Wildcat community. I would like to share 3 of the core values that guide us in our mission to help keep you connected with K-State. The first value is link. The Alumni Association provides the lifelong link that alumni depend on to remain connected. You can stay in touch through hundreds of alumni activities held on campus, around the country, and internationally. Another value is tradition. You will likely celebrate a few traditions this weekend as you sing the alma mater or take KSU photos at your favorite spot on campus. You may also have fond memories of doing the Wabash at a K-State sporting event or rubbing the nose of the bronze Wildcat statue at the Alumni Center for good luck on a test or to ensure a Wildcat victory. As the keepers of tradition, we also hope you will have a chance to visit the Alumni Center to experience all the wonderful traditions kept there, including our newest addition, a stained glass mural designed by 2016 graduate Marcus Gilbert, which pays tribute to the beauty of our state and the K-State campus. The third core value is purple. For K-Staters, it's more than a color. It's a symbol of pride, connection, and family. When you see someone wearing purple or a K-State class ring or sporting a K-State license plate, you will feel that sense of family. In recognition of your graduation, the College of Business Administration and the Alumni Association are providing you with a complimentary 1-year membership to the Alumni Association. We hope you will enjoy the membership benefits and continue to be an active member after your first year. K-State alumni are among the most loyal in the nation. In fact, our membership ranks in the top 5 in the nation and #1 in the Big 12 for the percentage of graduates who are members. That loyalty is shared by generations of K-Staters who have the same passion for K-State that you feel today as you receive your degree from one of the finest universities in the nation. The Alumni Association is also pleased to present you today with an exclusive alumni business card holder. As you go through life and your title and addresses change, please be sure to keep us updated. We want to make sure you are always connected to your K-State family. Congratulations and go Cats!
Thank you, Amy. Next, it is my honor to present the Outstanding Graduating Senior in Business Award. This award is peer-selected based on service to the college as an undergraduate, involvement in the life of the college, engagement in the K-State community, and personal academic success. This semester, Ms. Celeste Bartels is the recipient of the Outstanding Senior in Business Award. Celeste, will you please join me at the podium? Celeste is from Tonganoxie, Kansas, and a graduate of Tonganoxie High School. Her parents are Mary Jo and Werner Bartels. While an undergraduate, Celeste has served as a business ambassador, a member of the Business Honors Program Council, and a study abroad advocate. She has been an excellent citizen of the college and an exceptional student scholar. Celeste has also been an active leader. She was president of the Chimes Junior Honorary, a member of the Silver Key Honorary, and an intern representative for the Student Government Association for the College of Business. In addition to these activities, she has worked as a teaching assistant for the College of Business Sports Marketing Program to include tutoring many of her peers. Further, she conducted a marketing research project as an honors student and was selected to present her research to peers and experts in the field of global education at the World Congress on Education in Dublin, Ireland. All this while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. She has provided excellent leadership and been an outstanding role model for her peers during her undergraduate career. Please join me in congratulating Celeste on receiving the Spring 2018 College of Business Outstanding Graduating Senior Award. Each semester, the college faculty and staff vote to choose one student to speak at commencement as a representative of the graduates. This semester's speaker is Mr. Zachary Case. Zach is the son of Gordon and Julie Case. He is from Olathe, Kansas, and a graduate of Blue Valley Southwest High School. After graduating with a double major in accounting and finance, he will be working as a business analyst for Deloitte Consulting out of Kansas City. While an undergraduate, Zach has served as president of the Student Finance Association and as a tutor for Finance 450 students. He worked for more than 3 years in the K-State Athletics Accounting Department and interned in the summer of 2017 with the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. Zach was a member of winning competitive teams for the Phillips 66 Ethics Case Competition and the Gates Capital Stock Pitch Competition. He was also a business ambassador, a member of the Dean's Student Advisory Council, and a member of the Student Advisory Council. He was the investment club co-president and the treasurer of his fraternity, Delta Chi. Zach, it is my honor to introduce you as the Spring 2018 Student Commencement Speaker.
Good afternoon, spring class of 2018. Please allow me to join the long list of people that are going to tell all of you congratulations on this special day. We've reached a milestone that should be celebrated, and I hope you all take a second to appreciate what you've done. The degrees conferred to us as we walk across the stage today signal to the world that we are technically sound. For some of us, they indicate that we understand financial statements, either how to read them or how to construct them. For some of us, they show that we understand effective marketing, sales, and promotions techniques. And others show that we understand information systems, data management, networking, and coding. And finally, some of these degrees show that we have a general understanding of how to manage business operations of either a self-started business or a long-standing corporation. These technical skills are valuable, and they will serve us well as we move into the business world. But let's be very careful not to forget the other, less technical lessons we've had the chance to learn at our time as undergraduates at Kansas State University. Late nights at the business building have shown us that perseverance and sacrifice can create great results for daunting tasks. The dreaded group assignments have shown us that from time to time, we are going to have to pull more than our fair share of the work to complete an assignment. And other group assignments have shown us that sometimes teamwork can be pretty valuable. Events like the KSU Night Walk remind us to embrace diversity and always be a positive force for change in our community. We've seen countless student-led philanthropies that emphasize the importance of giving back, and we have benefited from generous alumni who gave back to us. It is these other, less technical lessons that define us as people. I have no doubt that every student leaving the building today has the technical skills that will define the employee or the student they will continue to be. It is our continued effort at these soft skills that will define us as a person. And for this reason, I want to take just a few minutes to reflect on some of the most powerful pieces of advice that I've been given over the past few years. The first, and this will come as absolutely no surprise to anybody who knows me pretty well, comes from Professor Hendricks. On his first day of class, he reminds his students that they have an obligation to, quote, be where they are. And this sounds so simple, but it is so much harder than it seems. We've all sat in meetings that we felt could have been handled over email, or classes that we felt were unimportant and unnecessary, and at those times, it is so easy to escape into our phone, into the world of text messages and social media and email and games or whatever it is. But when we do that, we become passive participants in our environment. And with the skills and talent that you all have, being a passive participant is unacceptable. Only by truly engaging those around us can we gain the most from our interactions. So as hard as it may be to keep our phones in our pockets or to close our laptops, I would challenge all of us to be a little bit better about being where we are. Let the world see what we can do when we are active participants in the conversation. The second of these lessons happened only a few weeks ago when I was attending a philanthropy event. It was in the middle of one of those busy weeks when the exam cycle seemed never ending and every group project that had ever been assigned ever magically came due all at once. And there I was, thinking about how busy my life had been over the past few weeks, when I heard the guest speaker at the event say the phrase, "Adversity is what happens to you. Stress is what you do to yourself." And the point he so eloquently made was about attitude. Every day, we should expect to field new challenges. Sometimes it's going to feel like there isn't enough time in the day, and the timing and difficulty of these challenges will often be out of our control. But our attitude toward them is entirely our decision to make. Being a more positive person and maintaining a positive attitude will make us more pleasant people to be around and may encourage others to lend us a helping hand when we need it. It seems there's this increasing desire to wear stress as a badge. Maybe if everybody knew how stressed we are, that we only slept a few hours each of the past 3 nights and that we drank 7 cups of coffee just to keep our eyes open, maybe they'll be impressed. I would argue, though, that producing results while maintaining a positive attitude is a much more impressive feat by far. And if we can follow these first 2 lessons, then the third lesson becomes very easy. I hope that we can all take a little bit more time to enjoy the present. Many of us have spent the past few years awaiting the weekend or spring break or graduation or starting our jobs, and being forward-looking is great, but it can often force us to forget about right now. So please take a second and appreciate what you've just done. The next chapter of our life is rapidly approaching. So please, let's make sure to read all the way to the end of this chapter before turning the page. Once again, congratulations to all of you. I am so proud to have been a part of this family, and I can't wait to see the incredible future ahead of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. As a token of our appreciation, we have a plaque recognizing Zach as our commencement speaker for the students this year. We are now ready to present the degree candidates for the College of Business Administration. Will the candidates for bachelor degrees from the College of Business Administration please rise and remain standing? President Myers, on behalf of the faculty of Kansas State University, I am pleased to present to you the College of Business Administration class of spring 2018.
Thank you, Dean Gwinner. By the authority of the people of the state of Kansas and the Kansas Board of Regents, and upon the recommendation of the faculty and completion of the degree requirements, I am pleased to confer upon you, the graduating class of spring 2018, the degree you have earned at Kansas State University. You may now move the tassel to the left side of your mortarboard. Congratulations.
Please be seated.
Will the graduates please rise and approach the stage when the marshal reaches your row? And will the department heads please go to the end of the stage to congratulate your graduates? Candidates for a Bachelor of Business Administration in Entrepreneurship, Scott Michael Anderson. Eric Carl Banzoff. Matthew Allen Buell. Morgan Elise Dreiling. Sumner Blaine Hilton. Dakota Joey Jacobson. McKenna Bronte Hatch Johnson. Trenton James Kennedy. Caden Allen Littrell, cum laude. Sarah Jean McDermott. Shane M. Pullman. Omar Ghazi J. Qutub. Zachary John Schmidtke. Lauren Emily Elise Sidorsik. Sydney Renee Snyder. Sydney's diploma is being presented to her by her grandfather, Bill Snyder, KSU head football coach. Christopher Paul Zachary, summa cum laude. Abigail Lee Zimmerman, summa cum laude. Candidates for a Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting: Ryan Adams, Taylor Ann Alderman, Alexandria Luella Bangert, cum laude. Kelsey Elizabeth Bartlett. Aubrey Ann Burning, magna cum laude. Stephen Christopher Blando. Mahadi Ali Al-Bohassan. Alexandria Renee Boleski. Katie Lynn Brenneman. Naomi Louise Bouchard, summa cum laude. Joshua Kent Carlgren, magna cum laude. Zachary Royal Case, summa cum laude. Madison Page Chalkley. Renee Marie Dick. Shelby Nicole Ebert. Trent Douglas Evans. David Albert Falk IV. David Feist. Kathleen Jane Gepford, cum laude. Shiloh Isaac Gorachi. Lauren Taylor Goralzik. Travis Daniel Hare. Brenton Cole Hampton. Alexis Marie Cocaine, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Diane Lincoln. Andrea M. Mann, cum laude. Ryan Donald Marston. Sarah Lynn May, magna cum laude. William Anthony McCann. Wyatt McKinney. Madison Claire Murmis. Nathan John Muller, summa cum laude. Matthew William Murray. William Clyde Orth, cum laude. Kalpit Vinod Patel. Natalie Marie Pyle, summa cum laude. Alex Kirkman Reed, summa cum laude. Kimberly Sanchez, magna cum laude. Caroline Leanne Shannon. Elizabeth Ann Shirley. Trenton James Simon, summa cum laude. Lindsay Madison Soliday. Marissa Renee Taylor. Bree Alexandra Thomas, magna cum laude. Connor David Shumlaland. Chad Michael Wilhite. Tyler Allen Williams. Joshua Ryan Wilson. Austin Michael Winter. Philip George Winter. Jacob Woody. Gerald Joseph Woodjack. Hunter Conrad Yackel. Kiera N. Yates. Candidates for a Bachelor of Business Administration in Finance: Colton Lane Arnstad. Carolyn Nicole Abrams. Kelsey Apple. Cal Daniel Ballou, Kuma Cum Laude. Samuel Baron Hernandez. Abdurrahman Al-Bashar. Kara Christie Byrne. Mark Thomas Birch. Matthew Cooper Blay. Drew Christian Borman. Thomas Bremser. Jonathan Allen Burden. Alexander Thomas Carr. Zhujing Chen. Ryan Dean Collins. Joseph Paul Crane. Max Michael Detweiler. Iris Mariana Diaz. Stephen Gordon Dilks, magna cum laude. Ashley Nicole Ebeck, summa cum laude. Todd Anthony Ebert. Jacob James Fair. Kyle Mitchell Fleming. Austin Gregory Fountain. Nicholas Jacob Frakes. Alyssa Michelle Gomez Buxo. Keisha Ellen Green, cum laude. Joseph William Halligan. Emily Nicole Haynes. Ethan Lee Holliday, summa cum laude. Janelle Brianne Holz. Bozao Jiang. Connor Allen Johnson. Sydney Marie Johnson. Tyler Dale Jordan. Timothy James Coates. Taylor Ann Lathan, cum laude. Zail Lee. Simon Ray Livengood. Tegan Dawn Lowe, magna cum laude. Thomas Francis McHugh. Ryan Jacob McHenry. Hayden Spencer Merritt, cum laude. Peyton James Miller. Priyanshi Mishra. Brendan Gage Mousley, cum laude. Brian Thomas Mueller. James Naeem Musil, magna cum laude. Carlos Armand Olivia. Caden Thomas Pauls. Sydney Maylin Peterson, cum laude. Luke James Porteous. Bailey John Ramsey. Deva Lynn Rohr. Dustin Anthony Rottinghouse, summa cum laude. Arturo Sanchez. Connor Fitzgerald Schmidling. Max William Schnitker, magna cum laude. Anthony Martin Surser. Sean Stephen Smith. Grant Charles Cryer. Blake Montgomery Stevens. Claire Elliott Stouffer. Joshua Daniel Suderman, summa cum laude. Katie Ann Thomas. Andrew Nicholas Tritch. Justin Scott Voth. Teddy J. Wade. Yui Wang. Madison Nicole Williams, cum laude. Andrew Richard Winkler. Emily Marie Wolfe. Allie Marie Woltering. Yu Yang. Yin Yi Zhao. Candidates for a Bachelor of Business Administration in General Business: Jessica Megan Decker Toothman. Keisha S. Gertner. Corey Ace William Hall. Katie Rochelle Holliday. Maria Fernanda Quezada Gomez. Hannah Danielle Meyer. Aaron J. Miller. Rita Rocio Montez Delgado. Catherine Margaret Murphy. Justin Royce Stackhouse. Amanda Faye Terrell.
Candidates for management: Mary Violet Abunabhan. Delilah Amaya. Jessica Nadine Ost. Reagan Mary Aylward. Henry Benjamin Byer. Devin Renee Belt. Tristan Scott Bergerhofer. Jia Yua Bien. Rebecca Elise Bishop. Miranda May Boatwright. Taylor K. Swearingen. David Isaac Brooks, cum laude. Jacob Todd Brooks. Bryce Skiles Bueller. Ty J. Carmichael. Ryder Lee Chaffee. Courtney Elamay Curtis. Alexander Kenley Darrow. Robert Deese. Adriante Shoman Etheridge. Kayla Lynn Eubanks. Andre Naheen Faison. East Fong. Eric Thomas Fetter. Patrick Charles Fredrickson. Suzette Garcia. Caitlin Nicole Glow, summa cum laude. JC Amanda Gooden. Brianne Alicia Hagemeister. Jessica Erin Halsey. Eric David Hanks. Dominique Ali Heath. Jordan Michael Hetherington. Catherine Nadine Herbal, summa cum laude. Ansley Keaton Herzog. Andrew J. Hollingsworth. Cody Joseph Holthouse. Dongyang Hu. Addison Lou Hughes. Alexander Lloyd Hummer, cum laude. Kevin Scott Hurt. Christopher Thomas Jans. Haley Marie Johnson. Quincy Alexandria Jones. Troy Thomas Josie. Corey Don Cam. Salina Oshado Karuno Ratna. Eric Christopher Kelly. Courtney Colleen Kelly. Kinsey Lauren Keltz. Madison Ann Kennedy. Morgan Gerhard Lane. Ching Lei. Guohui Lian. Jiao Tan Luo. Sean McKinley Massey, cum laude. Braden Lynn Matthews. David C. McClure, Jr. Emily Lynn Millar. Preston Reed Miller. Jackson D. Moore. Mary Hannah Nisus. Madison Louise Nelson. Nicholas Donald Nelson, cum laude. Taylor John Nemeth. Joshua Wayne Nichols. Desmond Daniel O'Grady. Tyler Michael Owen. Kayla Marie Pearson. Carolina Pereira, magna cum laude. Connor Allen Richenberg. Stephen James Rich. Elizabeth Maria Robledo. Carlos Ruiz. Fumiya Sakata. Kyle Matthew Saunders. Elizabeth Anne Marie Sharping, cum laude. Isaac David Schmidt. Maxwell James Seaman. Gerald Wesley Smith. Cody Mackenzie Schellenberg. Warren Schuler Sparks. Nathan Alexandru Starcev. Caitlin Lori Stark. Jakayla Zane Thomas. Alec James Van Noort. Eric Van Meerhage. Max Dalton Versch. Katie Lynn Walker. Dalvin Deshaun Warmack. Catherine Ann Wassinger. Teresa A. Westhoff. Jessica Michelle Wilkes, magna cum laude. Jonathan Bruce Works. Jian Shu. Candidates for Management Information Systems, Jared Eugene Bennett. Jacob William Bloyd. Chase Robert Baus. Brian Diamond Davis. Daniel Alexander Vander Ellsburn. Basil Ahmed El Sharawi. Aaron C. Fox. Emily Catherine Frank. Kyle Michael Geiger. Nicole Hamler, cum laude. Aiden Gregory Habine. Kevin Kenneth Herbster. Kevin Douglas Hewitt. Jisoo Her. Courtney Liana Jackson. Bradley James Coster. Jeffrey Ryan Maddox. Christian Matthews. Noah Montgomery Minshew, magna cum laude. Alfonso Juan Montes. Dan Than Nguyen. Raymond Stanley Penfull. Wyatt Randall Prawl. Tyler John Reno, cum laude. Caitlin Leanne Rozier. Zachary Jonathan Rottinghouse. Haley Claire Savage. Evan Britt Scheibler. Grayson James Sinclair, cum laude. Benjamin Worcito Chung. Michael Ryan Tolman. Christopher William Turkowski. Kayla Marie Wassinger. Candidates for marketing: Abdul Razak Al-Hareth Al-Khaled. Matthew Joseph Allen. Jun Sang An. Jeffrey Anderson. Celeste Nicole Bartles, summa cum laude. Rachel Jean Billy. Dylan Thomas Brock. Reed Dixon Brown. Frank James Berdolski. Joshua Todd Burke. Erwin Chega. Chen Chin. Lulu Chen. Ge Chen. Otto Gunnar Kafis. Taylor David Cooper. Jacob Tyler May. Davis Matthew Clark. Maya Lee Cohen. Isaiah S. Daniels. Amanda Morgan Dotz. Nicholas Lawrence Edwards. Montana James Fashing. Kelsey Janelle Fisher. Chandler K. Ford. Taryn Joy Glissman. Kaylin Xavier Grant. Gary Dewan Hackett III. Maral Maya Haney. Olivia Lee Harding, magna cum laude. Taylor Nicole Hart. Brady Ryan Hempel. Nicholas William Hess. Nicholas Lyndon Henricks, cum laude. Melissa Elizabeth Holler. Cody Hughes. Miranda Ray Isaacson. Adeline Josephine Jenkins. Taylor Weston Jenkins. Maxwell Noble Jinks. Casey Jack Jemison. Shauna Christine Jones. Abigail Rose Kammermeyer. Rachel Renee Kipper, summa cum laude. Riley May Ketting. Emily Leidecker, cum laude. Elizabeth Lene Lapham. Courtney Laughlin. Wen-Chin Lee. Sawyer James Like. Gabrielle K. Lintner. Leah Esther Loretto. Rebecca Elizabeth McGee. L. Nicole McAllister. Hannah Marie McBride. Maxwell Colin McQueen. Giovanni Alexander Mendoza. Rachel B. Midyet. Jessica Rachel Meyer. Ariana Taryn Mahisua. Lindsay Nicole Miller. Anastasia Marie Morgan. Maggie Lee Mulick. Tyler Albert Nelson. Emily Jo Neufeld, magna cum laude. Andrew Tyler Nevins. Andrea Elizabeth Novak. Brandon Kyle Ohm. Cassandra Lynn Pawlowski. William Logan Alexander Pfeiffer. Veronica Pereira Fernandez. James Charles Pettigene. Tanner Anthony Pfeiffer, magna cum laude. Nathan Alexander Power. Ryan Houston Rahmeyer. Lucas Connor Renz. Lucas's diploma is being presented to him by his grandmother, Amy Button Renz, President and CEO, K-State Alumni Association. Denise Reyes, magna cum laude. Gabrielle L. Riggs, cum laude. Charles Richard Reinhardt. Andrew Timothy Ritz. Cal Stephen Robertson, cum laude. Lindsay Nicole Rucker. Griffin Hayes Rolfing. Mauricio Ruiz. Mitchell Henry Samuelson. Cipriana E. Sapien. Kayla Joanna Sapp. Valley Malachi Sharping. Emma Catherine Scheffler. Abby Elizabeth Schlick. Mason J. Shreve. Sierra Raquel Smith. Jennifer Marie Smith. Connor Scott Sokup. Erin Nicole Sullivan. Wei Chung Sun. Wei Shun Sun. Victoria Rose Unrein. Jordan Renee Vigola. Maria Rose Welsh. Jael Sage Whitney, summa cum laude. Sarah Kate Whitney. Joshua Mackenzie Woods. Pei-Li Yao. Jared Taylor Zare.
Graduates, it has been the privilege of the college's administration, faculty, and staff to work with you over the past few years. Congratulations to all of you. Let us recognize the outstanding accomplishment of these graduates one more time. We would ask the audience to please remain seated until the platform party and the graduates have exited the Coliseum. You are welcome to meet in the concourse area for pictures and conversations. Graduates, please follow the marshals to the rear of the Coliseum, up the stairs, and into the concourse area. This concludes our ceremony. Congratulations, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.